The following is a production of Florida State University's Office of University Communications. Coming up on FSU Headlines, Florida State University recognizes its top professors. A Florida State alumnus overcomes adversity. Reporting for duty, Florida State hosts military veterans for boot camp, business boot camp. Stay tuned for these stories and more. FSU Headlines starts now. Hello and welcome to another edition of FSU Headlines. I'm Dennis Schnitker, broadcasting from Florida State University inside the spectacular William Johnston building. Florida State University's faculty is one of the many reasons the university has been designated a preeminent institution in the state of Florida. And each year, that faculty selects one of its own as the best of the best.
All the detectors are pointing to a common point.
Florida State's world-renowned nuclear physicist Mark Riley has been named this year's Robert O. Lawton Distinguished Professor. It's the highest honor the university faculty bestows on one of its own. Riley joined the Florida State faculty in 1991, and he's been a leader in the field of nuclear physics ever since. Riley has collaborated with some of the world's foremost leaders in nuclear physics to develop the most powerful gamma ray detectors ever designed. While researching is one of his passions, Riley admits that teaching in the lab or classroom is just as important to him.
Doing pure research, but I realized very early on I wanted to be at a university and interact with young people. There's a lot of smart young people out there, and they're curious too, and they ask a lot of interesting questions, and so there's no doubt that I enjoy research, but I enjoy teaching and working with young people.
Since 1957, the Robert O. Lawton Distinguished Professor Award has been given each year to a Florida State professor who excels in teaching and research. Relational, empathetic, and rigorous. That's how Florida State University Associate Professor of Sociology Annette Schwabe approaches teaching. And now she's being recognized for it by her fellow professors and students. Professor Schwabe is given this year's Distinguished Teacher Award, Florida State University's top honor for teaching. Schwabe joined the Florida State faculty in 2005. She teaches classes on medical sociology, research methods, social problems, and the sociology of lifestyles. Prior to teaching at Florida State University, Schwabe was a speech-language pathologist. That professional background experience helps give her students a different perspective on learning. Despite having a class load range from 200 to 500 new students every semester, Schwabe spends a lot of time meeting with and getting to know her students outside of the classroom, something that she says is personally gratifying.
I think in a classroom, I notice that students are sitting up and alert and making eye contact and, not web surfing. The seats are full a lot of times, so that's a good sign they keep coming back. And then a lot of times they tell me directly or arrange to meet with me, or they ask me for help on things that are unrelated to what we're doing in class, that are just generally for their educational success at FSU, sort of beyond the classroom. So I feel like those are signs that I'm reaching them.
In addition to being honored with the university's top award for teaching, Schwabe was also given a $7,500 stipend and was presented the award at the annual Faculty Awards dinner. Florida State University's international programs offer students a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to study and live abroad. Today we meet a student athlete who made the transition from running track at FSU to running the cobblestone streets of Valencia, Spain.
Hi, my name is Colleen Quigley, and I'm studying dietetics here at Florida State University. Ever since I got here freshman year, I knew I wanted to study abroad at some point. It finally happened last summer, and it was definitely one of the most amazing experiences I've had here. I'm on the Florida State track and cross country team. I hang out with those girls all the time, and I'm constantly studying or running, but that was something that was on my bucket list of before I graduate, I have to study abroad, and so I love that I was able to check that off and have such a great time doing it. I studied in Valencia, Spain. Basically chose that. I'm doing a minor in Spanish, so I chose that because I could practice my Spanish while I was there, and because they're offering a food and society class, that went along with my major as one of the requirements for dietetics, so I could knock out 2 courses that I needed to take anyway and not get behind on my mapping, which is a huge thing. And I had never been to Spain before, and I'd been studying Spanish for about 6-7 years, so I figured it's about time that I go and actually meet some people and really immerse myself in that kind of culture and just have it all around me, because that's the best way to learn it. One of my favorite experiences was running related, but I wasn't the one running. I actually went to Pamplona to see the running of the bulls, which is this festival that they have every year that I had heard about before and kind of seen pictures of, and one of those like crazy things that you think you'll never actually see. We got this pretty good spot in the crowd, and we were getting on people's shoulders and climbing up on window ledges and stuff, and then it started going off, and here come the bulls running through, and people are chasing them, and everyone's wearing white, so of course we had to all wear white too, and we got our red handkerchiefs, and like all of us got into it and stuff, but it was incredible. And then, I'll never forget that trip to Pamplona where we, chased after the bulls. It was amazing. Well, I was training for cross country, so I actually didn't even need a track. My summer training basically just consisted of lots of running, just getting in the miles, and then weight training twice a week. And basically I just ran right outside of the study center is this canal. It's an old riverbed that turned into, it flooded, and then they rerouted the river outside of the city. So now it's just a riverbed, and it's basically a huge park. It's about 10K long, about 6 miles long. There was no lack of places for me to run, definitely. That was a concern for my coach, and that was definitely not a problem. And I also found a gym that I could pay, about €1.50 every visit or something ridiculous to go and use their weights and stuff. So I got all the training in that I needed to. I don't know of anyone who's like, studying abroad's not for me, but if that is someone, who's thinking that, I would just encourage you, you gotta do it. And if not, at least just keep your mind open about stretching, your horizons and just kind of pushing yourself to do something that might be kind of out of your comfort zone. I mean, like I said before, I'm here in my niche with my cross country team, my track girls. We're practice, 3 hours a day, 7 days a week, and there's not a lot of extra time to meet people outside of this, group. I went all by myself. I didn't know, anyone else who was going to be on the trip at all. I just was like, I'm signing up, I'm doing it. I'll meet people as I go. And that was honestly the best way to do it, I think. I mean, I met so many people that I never would have met before. We don't do a lot of the same things, but, I got the chance to make a connection with them, and, we had so much fun together. And I didn't even know, no one ran. I was the only runner there, and they were all asking me questions about that, and I would ask them questions about what they did, and that was something really special. And then it took going out of Tallahassee and, into Valencia, Spain, to make that kind of connection with people. But yeah, it was definitely life-changing, and I will never forget that.
Are you interested in Florida State's international programs? If so, your journey starts with a quick visit to the website international.fsu.edu. Well, still to come on FSU Headlines, we'll tell you how one Florida State graduate went from homeless student to CEO of one of the most powerful technology service firms in the country.
If you had to tell the story of my life, it would be look at all of these sliding door moments in my life and look at all the people that helped me through them.
That story and more when FSU Headlines continues in a moment.
A spirit roams these parts. A spirit of respect, competition, and academic greatness. Some call our spirit myth. Others call it legend. We call it Florida State University.
When you purchase a Florida State University license plate, you're supporting students, like me. tag, you're in.
Welcome back to FSU Headlines. I'm Dennis Schnitker. Florida State University alumnus Tony DiBenedetto leads one of the more dominant technology service providers in the country. With over 3,700 clients worldwide, Tony has a strong position in the business application world. But this wasn't always the case. FSU Headlines reporter Sam Lane has his story.
Tony DiBenedetto is chairman and CEO of TriBridge. With its corporate headquarters in Tampa, TriBridge is one of the leading technology service providers in the United States, serving more than 3,700 customers with over 600 team members.
You pinch yourself. You're like, wow, how did this even happen to me?
A Tampa-based CEO of the Year and the head of a company recognized as one of the fastest growing privately held companies in America, Tony has his feet firmly planted in the technology world. But his life wasn't always this stable.
If you had to tell the story of my life, it would be look at all of these sliding door moments in my life and look at all the people that helped me through them.
For Tony, those moments began at an early age. Born in Brooklyn, he moved to Fort Lauderdale to live with his grandparents.
My mom and others in the family had a lot of illegal activity in their lives, a lot of drugs and a lot of bad stuff.
He lived with his grandma until she passed away when he was 12. After that, Tony lived on his own.
There was a lot of change. My life in that time frame, I think I lived in about 15 different places from about 7th grade to 12th grade.
Living with friends and sleeping on couches, the changes only made Tony stronger.
I constantly was trying to figure out a way to get better. And that has defined a lot of my business career for sure. And sometimes I'm probably annoying because I'm always trying to do something better versus trying to be in the moment.
Tony came to Florida State with that same attitude.
When I think of education, people think of school and they think of, what did I learn? I learned how to be an adult. I learned how to be a professional. And I don't know that every university gives you that opportunity.
Tony graduated from Florida State in 1987 with a degree in Management Information Systems. After working full-time throughout college, Tony was quick to land his first job with Arthur Andersen as an information technology consultant.
I think I was a different kind of kid for them because I actually had work experience in technology.
But the job didn't pique his interest.
After about 2 years, because of my experience, I was kind of bored. And the work was less, and I thought that it was just easy work because I had done programming in college.
Tony considered leaving Arthur Andersen to go back to school until another opportunity presented itself.
So I ran into this guy, Rick Bishop. This is probably another one of those moments when the guy's like, listen. And I told him, I said, look, he's like, I heard you're leaving the firm. I've only been there 2 years. He said, look, we're starting a new division called the Business Consulting Division. And he goes, you don't need your MBA. I'll give you an MBA by being in this division.
This move gave Tony direction.
That's really where I blossomed because it was a startup, which gave me a lot of knowledge about starting my own company.
The entrepreneurial spirit took over. In addition to his work at Arthur Andersen, Tony opened 2 businesses at the same time, a truck leasing company, which still remains active, and a pizza and bagel restaurant.
Once that happened, I think the future was sealed for me.
Tony left Arthur Andersen after 10 years with the company in 1998 to open up his own shop.
I think I knew that the juice of creating something from scratch and working till you can't see straight, that was in me. And working for someone else, even though I wanted to be that compliant, good team member, and tried to do that. I tried really hard to do that. I don't think it was in my DNA. To me, it was the whole point of it.
Tony and 2 colleagues from Arthur Andersen opened TriBridge in September of 1998.
But the thing that sounds great is when people talk about the culture or about their experience here, or they tell us a story.
TriBridge specializes in helping mid-market customers solve their business challenges through business applications and cloud solutions.
First year, we did $2 million worth of business, just through the relationships we had. So, for some people, that's a big deal. To us, it was crazy big.
Tony and TriBridge never looked back. The company has been named Microsoft Partner of the Year, which is based on growth and innovative use of Microsoft technologies, 4 times. The only company ever to win the award 4 times.
If I think of all the great ideas for our company, they either came from our customers or came from some team member in our organization. The concept of somebody being individually put on a pedestal here just doesn't exist.
Definitely don't film that stuff because that's Gator paraphernalia on that.
And in the tech world, that's pretty odd. There's plenty of tech executives, there's plenty of tech people that point a big shining light on their accomplishments. And here, it's all about a team environment.
From a childhood where nothing was stable, Tony has settled in Tampa with his wife Shannon and 2 children, Rachel and Bella.
Hi. That was pretty good.
Like, this is where I want to be forever, So I think that's the impact it's had on me. It's like, wow, you have all the stability now that you wanted the whole time. And so to me, I don't want to mess that up. You know what I mean? You don't want to change where you live. You don't want to move somewhere because everything, like this represents kind of all of that in one place.
And recognizing Tony's success, he was inducted into the Florida State College of Business Hall of Fame earlier this year. A pair of Florida State students will represent North America in an upcoming worldwide competition. For more on the story, we welcome in FSU Headlines reporter Kate Mueller. Kate?
Thanks, Dennis. 2 Florida State University Law School students will go head-to-head with students from around the world in the World Finals of a Moot Court Challenge. Florida State law students Jim Burleson and Jessica Fernandez make up one of Florida State's moot court teams. A moot court is a mock court at which law students argue imaginary cases with no jury. This moot court deals with international space law. Burleson and Fernandez took first place in the North American regional competition and will now represent North America in the World Finals in Toronto this October.
It's going to be even a little more daunting because at the World Finals we actually argue in front of actual International Court of Justice judges. So it's definitely a daunting task, but very exciting, and I'm really looking forward to it.
It really helped me realize the amount of work that it takes when you are diving into something that you don't already have background knowledge in. So it helped me develop a stronger work ethic, I would say, and just the amount of writing and research that went into it, because we had to write 2 briefs, whereas with every other competition you need to write 1 brief. That, I think, strengthened my writing and research skills.
Jessica and Jim look to bring back Florida State's 2nd championship in this competition. Florida State won this same competition in 2011. Dennis, back to you.
All right, thanks for that, Kate. More student news to tell you about. 2 Florida State graduate students have been selected from a pool of thousands to attend the Lindau meetings on economic sciences. The meeting takes place in Lindau, Germany, and invites Nobel Prize winners to present and interact with young researchers from all over the world.
People hold all sorts of different views about the same thing. So you can ask an economist a simple question, and if you ask a different economist, you might get a very different answer, both of which have excellent evidence, excellent arguments as to why their point is right. So it's always great to be in an environment that's new from your own.
Perhaps what questions that I think are important gets shaped by, in some sense, what everybody else thinks is important, right? And how I ask those questions is shaped by, right? How I go about addressing those questions is shaped by how other people do it, and right? Perhaps interacting with the Nobel laureates or interacting with people at conferences has the potential to have quite a profound effect on what I think the questions we should be asking are.
At the Lindau meetings on economic sciences, Crisp and White will take part in discussions, master classes, and panel discussions that perhaps provide a new look on economics from a global perspective. Well, coming up next on FSU Headlines, a new class of military veterans go through boot camp, business boot camp.
This program is designed to teach them how to start their own business for those that are interested, and they can take that and tie their passion into that and go back to their home communities, create businesses, create jobs, and become a part of the fabric of their community.
Florida State University graduates its 7th class in the Entrepreneurship Boot Camp for Veterans with Disabilities program. That story coming up next when FSU Headlines continues in a moment. Hello and welcome back to FSU Headlines. I'm Dennis Schnitker. 23 military veterans from around the country made their way to Florida State University recently to attend the 7th annual Entrepreneurship Boot Camp for Veterans with Disabilities. As FSU Headlines reporter Mark Vaughn explains, the program gives these veterans a crash course in business that will help them get their business off the ground and running.
Part of what this program is about is to say, thank you for your service, but the other side was to say, we need you to serve again. We just need you to serve in a different capacity.
23 men and women from across the country converged on Florida State University for the 7th annual Entrepreneurship Boot Camp for Veterans with Disabilities.
We have to tailor the treatment to each individual.
This program is designed to teach them how to start their own business for those that are interested, and that they can take that and tie their passion into that and go back to their home communities, create businesses, create jobs, and become a part of the fabric of their community.
Army veteran Shavanika Howell enlisted in the EBV this year. Howell is the director of Academy of Scholars Incorporated, a kindergarten through 9th grade school in Jacksonville, Florida, that's designed to help at-risk youth and is set to open in September.
But I want to know more about marketing. I want to know more about funding, because Academy of Scholars Inc. is a nonprofit. So I know that a lot of my monies would come in from in-kind donations, as well as scholarships and things of that nature.
Howell joined her fellow classmates in workshops as they heard from industry professionals, all geared toward making them all they can be in the business world.
I've been to college, but they didn't kind of come at us as professor, college student. They kind of came at us more like comrades, and they were really gave us instruction, but they also gave us good advice. So it was like a mentor-mentee relationship.
The boot camp is designed to give disabled veterans the chance to make their place in the business world after transitioning to civilian life.
It's the start of something new. It means a lot. I say the start of my business. I feel like my business is starting now. So we got to file incorporation papers. I still got a logo to make, but after coming here this week, there was the guarantee that my business is going to exist.
Which is a strength and conditioning program designed specifically for kids and teens.
After a long and extensive week of training and a special business pitch exercise, these students are at the finish line. A special graduation ceremony honors their hard work and achievements at this year's EBV.
Mr. Jimmy Harris.
Florida State University sends its newest boot camp graduates out to complete their mission of starting and running their own business. For FSU Headlines, I'm Mark Vaughn.
In its 7 years, the Entrepreneurship Boot Camp for Veterans with Disabilities at Florida State University has helped nearly 400 veterans launch their own businesses. The mission of Florida State's Jim Moran Institute for Global Entrepreneurship is to inspire entrepreneurial leaders through world-class education, and not just here at Florida State University, but throughout the state of Florida.
And I want to thank you for joining us today for our 4th annual Business and Leadership Conference.
We talk to small business owners. They often tell us that they're so busy running their business, they just don't have time to think about what else they should be doing. So what we've tried to do is design a one-day conference that covers a lot of material that saves these small business owners perhaps 10, 20 hours of time, of their personal time, by condensing it, by making it very accessible and very digestible.
Florida State sees itself not as a Tallahassee campus, but as a university for the state. And the South Florida area was very hard hit by the recession. We saw a need down here for small business consulting at the level that we provided, and so that's one of the reasons why we moved down to South Florida with one of our outreaches.
3 point something, but in the first quarter of this year, it fell by 3%.
Well, one of the things that's important about the conference for us is it's part of our programs and services. We make it a point to have the conference, and so it's not, for us, it's not a fundraiser. It is a conference to provide training to the communities.
There's 2 ways to build your business. Anybody want to take a stab at it?
For small business owners coming together to help each other, it really is like a canary in a coal mine, to where small business owners want to see other small business owners succeed. And this conference is an opportunity for them to help other small business owners do better at what they're trying to do.
When someone used to ask me what I did for a living, for example, I would say, oh, I own a business, or, I run a business. I do IT. That's what I do. I do IT consulting. And I don't answer that way anymore. You know, when people ask me that now, they say, well, what do you do? I said, well, I'm an entrepreneur. You know, I build businesses now.
We want to come in and make available to them best practices that other business owners have the benefit of knowing. So the idea of addressing the community-based businesses so that they can make their community stronger, they can create jobs in their community and improve the economy of their local community.
Speaking of entrepreneurship, members of the Florida State community interested in starting their own business get a free crash course in business development thanks to the Florida State University Office of Commercialization.
This is the FSU Startup Gauntlet.
It's called the Startup Gauntlet and focuses on building a business model and improving customer interaction. Teams of 3 to 4 members come up with a business idea and test that idea through contact with potential customers in order to fine-tune their products or service. This free program is unique because participants don't need to have a business idea coming into the program. In fact, facilitators encouraged people to come into the course without any business ideas. Through online course content and face-to-face lectures, the goal of the Gauntlet is to have these entrepreneurs better understand the components behind the business model with customer segment and proposition, also known as product market fit.
I came in with a very open mind. I didn't want to nail myself down to one idea and whatnot. Just wanted to be able to come in, talk with other people, and find out what might be the best idea between all of us.
That's going to do it for this edition of FSU Headlines, but you can see more news from Florida State University anytime at Florida State 24/7. It's the official news website of Florida State University, and you can find it at news.fsu.edu. On behalf of everyone here at Florida State University, I'm Dennis Schnitker. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.